Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SaaS podcast. Today we have Sami Rejeb with us. Sami here runs a company called ValueOrbit. Hey, Sami, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
All right. All right, Sami. So let's talk about your company and product first, right? What does ValueOrbit do and why do customers pay you money?
Okay, so ValueOrbit is a revenue operations platform, and it helps sellers and revenue teams in general to achieve predictable growth.
All right. So who are you trying to sell these particular product to? Talk a bit
Okay,
about
so
your ideal customers.
my ideal customers is chief revenue operations or RevOps lead or CEOs, CFOs, um, anybody who's impacted by the revenue and the growth of the company. If I can talk about this, in fact, this RevOps movement very quickly, if it's
Sure.
okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sales used to be until now inaccurate and unpredictable. 57% of companies are not meeting quota, according to Gartner. And what we used to do, and by the way, I used to be the head of RevOps, so head of sales strategy and business operations for Salesforce, and also head of consultative sales of Oracle before founding a ValueOrbit. So what we used to do is to create 3 to 5 times pipeline as the target and try to guess on which deal should close and make the number. So this was a luxury, and we've had 11 years of growth. Fantastic era. We had some bumps on the road, but it was great. And then the crisis came, and the global pandemic has fundamentally changed the way we live and work. Then the current crisis had taken us with inflation and eroding demands. So it's a new world of uncertainty. And then I noticed one thing is that the budget, the sales budget, was wasted and inefficient. So BCG said 30% to 50% of the sales budget was wasted on efficient processes. So it made me wonder that we need a new way to sell. So this is why I created ValueOrbit for the revenue leaders.
All right. So that sounds pretty interesting in terms of the problem that you're trying to solve. So help me understand how exactly are you doing this? So how it varies from a typical CRM like Salesforce, for example. So what sort of intelligence are you extracting it? And so talk to me about those exact product features which are sort of enabling you to do what you've just described.
Okay, so so leaders are looking for a better way to sell. So what is selling, in fact, is the quality pipeline and the quality over execution. So over how we move or we make progress the pipeline and the forecast accuracy. And this is exactly the three things that we do at ValueOrbit. So we call it precision revenue growth. And what it does is that it is, in fact, it connects to your CRM system. So we connect to all the known ones like Salesforce and HubSpot. And then it automates the qualification. So if you're using Medic, Medpic, Band, etc., you can customize your own. Then you can put your process. It captures the process that is in the CRM, and then it allows you to set up a set of rules that dictates in which cases you push which content to trigger which discussion or conversation with the customer, and it also recommends on pipeline hygiene, what to update and where to update. And in fact, it's a real-time guidance and real-time forecasting system. So you define your rules, you define your playbook, which is, as I said, it's the qualification methodology plus the content that you have, and you let ValueOrbit guide you through what to do next in terms of conversations, in terms of enablement, and also to hit the perfect forecast or to hit your number.
Got it. And in terms of, I just want to close around the whole product aspect of it, right? So in terms of innovation, right? So for example, from what I'm hearing, all forecasting, all of these things, well, every CRM sort of tries to do it a bit, right? So I want to understand what's that technology that's enabling you to do this, which nobody has been really doing, at least not
Okay.
been focusing so far.
No, it's a great question. In fact, it's the machine learning and in specifically and the AI algorithms. So basically, in RevOps, Clary, in terms of RevOps, in terms of forecasting, created the category, and now it's followed by a number of competitors, and all of them they're focusing on the activities. So how many emails, how many meetings you organize, etc. And then they try to kind of qualify the pipeline out of your activities. Now we're doing something that is unique, which is we capture the activities that you do. We have a textbook editor, which in fact takes your meeting notes and update the CRM accordingly. That's an innovation. And then once you do this, it captures the sequence of the winning deals. These are the patterns, and then it guides on what to do, on which opportunity to work, and what to do next to win, and also which opportunity and which account you should avoid.
Okay.
So the traditional RevOps is focused on, I'll give you a forecast with the precision, but we're not doing this. What we're saying is that we help you to work in an easy way, to update your CRM, and also to do your qualification the right way. And we take the sequence and we try to tell you what to do next. So basically, when you use ValueOrbit, you only use next steps. It tells you exactly what to do, and it tells you why you should do it.
Got it. All right. So let's move on. Let's try to understand, about bit about the customers that you've got as of today, and what sort of revenue are you doing, and help me understand a bit about all of this. So how many customers do you have on your platform as of today?
In fact, I have currently 3 customers,
Mhm.
and the product has been released only a month ago.
Just a month ago.
Yes, just a month ago. And I have another list of 5, uh, waiting list of 5 customers. And I think what's great about it is to talk about the unique approach for me to kind of how I see growth, because
Sure.
I think I see it in a very different way than the rest of the
I'd love to
entrepreneurs.
understand your thought process on that. Yeah. So how do you intend to sort of get those next set of customers first? So
Oh, okay, so personally, I'm not. So even so, the fact that I'm using AI to help the customers, my customers at least, qualify and work on the right accounts and opportunities, and I apply the same for myself. So I use my tool before any other person, and then I believe in one thing is that uh, in the initial set of growth, you need to validate your growth hypothesis and validate your go to market. Okay. So I kind of focused on a specific ICP, very specific ICP, uh, and then a specific persona.
and what
And
how does that persona look like? And just talk about those first 3 customers as well. So as part of your story.
okay, okay. So in the beginning, I focused on um, SaaS companies that are in Series A to C. Okay. So now I started with the Series A. Okay. That's the first customer. Okay. And my goal with this is that to kind of agree on the set of most important pain points and how to resolve them. And for example, what are the best processes? What are the best qualification approaches? And train the AI to make sure that it solves this set of early customers. That's the A. Then I move to the B now. I haven't tackled the C yet, but I move to the B and I'm trying to do the same. And what I'm trying to do is that I will not move to any other segments unless I prove the return on investment and I tackle the problem in a real way. And the problem is not only technological, is that what's the right organization, what's the right adoption, etc., etc.
Interesting. And when you say you want to prove this ROI, so how do you quantify that? Is it about Is it the CAC customer acquisition cost that you need to spend to acquire these customers, or is it whether your product is able to sort of satisfy their needs? What exactly are you looking for at this particular point of state, when you're sort of trying to build this, GTM playbook, maybe you can call it that.
Okay. So first, the first validation point for me is the revenue improvement. So what I didn't say is that even that the product was ready, um, let's say 2 3 months ago in an improvement way, but I've been piloting now for 7 months. And what's important is that what's the impact?
Mhm.
So what's the impact in terms of win rate, and what's the impact in terms of revenue? So that's what I'm looking for as the first validation. Now, I think you had a good question in terms of CAC. For me, I'm doing it on another side. So what I'm trying to do is that trying to say refine the criteria to find the ICP, and to say what is the best channel. So for the moment, I've been successful to get customers from my network, but also exploring. There are a lot of Slack chat
Channels,
groups,
yeah.
yeah, that are extremely good, where you have thousands of CROs and RevOps. And these, I think, chats were very helpful for me. That Slack groups were very helpful for me. So in terms of discussion, validation, etc.
Just to get some more understanding here, right? So when did you write that first line of code for ValueOrbit? When was that?
Uh, a year ago.
And when did you get that first customer or first dollar of revenue?
So we've been now for 7 months. So 3 months we prepared the first MVP, and we've been kind of testing it with the first customer. Yes.
Got it. So and you're still iterating on the product, I'm assuming, based on your.
Yes. Yes. I'm
Sure.
iterating all the time, but I'm I'm iterating all the time, and also when I was doing this, things were also changing in terms of context.
Yeah.
So when I started, uh, the project, it was a forecasting, because I was kind of in charge of forecasting for Salesforce in the Nordics, and I was struggling with the Salesforce capabilities. So there was a need to involve AI and improve the capabilities. And um, and then over time, I discovered that now I think the wow effect is coming from the textbook editor and how you kind of update the CRM in real time, and also coming from how you automate any workflow on top of the opportunities, or attach them to a sales rep or a team member for onboarding, and how this really scales and it connects your strategy to your execution.
Got it. So before we deep dive into your growth strategy a bit, right? So I just want to ask you one question, right? So you've sort of started your company in an established category, at least we could assume revenue operations and intelligence is a proven, I wouldn't say proven, but it's a new category. There are a bunch of leaders who are trying to prove it. So just talk to me about how, so when you were building MVP, right? So how exactly did you do it? So did you sort of took this traditional route of, I'll go and talk to a bunch of customers, I'll try to understand what their problems are, and then maybe I'll start building a product for myself? Or would you just pick top 5 market leaders, look at what features they have, let's build an MVP right out of it? So what was your approach?
It's a good question. So I think I'm lucky, because before starting ValueOrbit, I've worked with hundreds, I think 100 plus of the CROs and CEOs in improving their efficiency and increasing their revenue. So I've done it with Oracle and Salesforce. And then doing this, I've worked a lot on the pain points and what needs to improve. And so I've had the validation ready before starting ValueOrbit.
You've already had that context based on your prior experience, you'd say.
Yeah.
So when you did your MVP, you knew what features do you have to
Yes.
build. Right? That makes a lot of sense. That should have saved a lot of time as well. So I know a lot of people don't take this approach, right? So people think you have to build it the old-fashioned route. You've got to do validation, all of those stuff, but you really don't need to if it's a proven category, right? So it's about your GTM strategy that you need to get right. All right. So let's talk about these three customers. You mentioned you're still figuring it out and all, right? But where exactly did you find these three customers in terms of first touch point? Was it through your network? Was it through these Slack channels you mentioned?
So um, two of them was through my network, and the third it was through a Slack group. And now the waiting list, I'm building it. So I'm kind of using the same as everybody.
Mhm.
So growth hacking and non-scalable activities.
Okay,
So
so
it's
I get it. So Sami, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions here, right? So what's your ideal ACV size? So what sort of deals do you typically strike with? I mean, you are obviously not selling $100 deal to these big customers, right? You must have some.
so um, so let's say for the moment it's around uh, 10 to
All
$15,000
right, that's awesome, right? So
per
now
year.
now I want to understand, right? So all of these growth hacking techniques that you mentioned, right? So it's obviously hard to sort of, it might work if you're working on, let's say, trying to close $1,000 deal or something like that, right? So you need a different playbook here. So what's that you're sort of trying to sort of what's the route that you're taking? What growth channels are you exactly sort of investing your time and energy into? Can you give
Yeah.
some examples?
Yes. So for me, is mainly LinkedIn, and mm, mm, I think what's important is that um, the first is to build. So I'm now I haven't published yet, but I'm building a lot of content that I will publish, and because so you have different sets of customers. I think the customers in the US, especially the SaaS companies, are aware of RevOps. So RevOps started really to resonate with a lot of CROs. And within this, at least Slack groups, I see a lot of maturity in terms of what they expect, etc. And the pioneers in the domain did the work of um, at least creating awareness of the need for these tools.
Yeah.
So that's in the US. The rest of the world is different. So the rest of the world is it more greenfield, but in which I need to invest more to
To
promote
educating
them
the market as well.
to educate the market.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I want to focus on the first thing, obviously, right? And I just want to sort of complete your story as of now, as the growth channels that have been working for you. So just help me understand your funnel, right? For example, if you talk to someone interesting on, let's say, a Slack channel, right? He understands everything about RevOps. He might be working at a company which is looking for a solution like yours, right? So what happens after that? How do you convert them to a paying customers right from that first touch point? So I know you have a couple of examples. So just talk about how it happened and how it might be optimized. So want to understand the entire funnel basically.
Okay. So for the moment, since that I've been heading the sales strategy and business operations at Salesforce, and I have all this experience, I think it's easier for me than other entrepreneurs
Absolutely.
because I build the trust with the CROs, and they, and for this trust, I try to kind of at least trigger or initiate a transformation in the way they sell and their wrap ups. So then we have this discussion to the current situation, into the to be situation, and into how the platform enables this. And it's a win-win for one reason is that on their side, I think they try to at least uh, get my perspective as a different perspective or get this experience from hundreds of leaders, and they want to get insights on how to move forward. On my side, I'm trying to build advocates and also validate what I'm doing. So for the moment, it's a win-win. So it's not the typical sales pitch where I go and I do my slides and I try to close, etc. It's more you build the trust, you build the relationship, you try to help, you transform you try to help them transform their revenue operations, and at the same time you gain from them.
And at what point do you actually say, hey, I've got a product in this line, so are you interested in checking this out? When does it become an informational conversation to, a sales pitch? At what point of
For me, is all is related to the pain. So I try to dig in the pain points and see if these pain points are really first um, kind of uh, you have the compelling event. So if they are quantifiable and if they are hurting the stakeholders and if they are the priority of the executives. So that's the most important point for me. So I
your
try always to validate to say that uh, always answer the questions first, which is I think the first step of the medic is why they need to use my solution, why me, and why
So
they
what's
need it.
what's that answer for that question? Why me? Right? I mean, you can explain the space, hey, how this is going to help your company, but a whole bunch of other companies are also going to do that as well. And when that question is asked, why me? Right? So especially given that you're just starting out, right? So what's that one thing that's been working for you? Right? So is it that innovative feature? Is it that trust that you've built with these folks? Or what is that one compelling, reason for those new sort of folks to sort of use your product over something else, especially since you're just starting out?
Okay. So first, I think the customers normally they don't have access, at least at this size, they don't have access to the CEO of Clary or
Sure,
of Gong. Okay.
absolutely.
So the fact that they have me as a point of contact is, I think, transforms the relationship. That's one. The second is that um, I have, I think, a unique approach. So if you see the market, you will find if we talk about qualification methodologies like MEDIC, BAT, etc., you will find qualification management solution or automation solution on one side, and you will find kind of forecasting, deal management on the other side. But you will not find an AI powered solution that combines all of them together with the logic I have. So this is kind of so the I think the approach and the richness of the algorithm or the AI algorithm that takes the as I said, the qualification, and also this easy to use textbook editor. I think it's a differentiator. So I try to differentiate as much as I can. So so basically, is like you say, I take a Dooley and I take a Gong and I take Clary and I take Close Plan and put them together in a smart way, and you get my solution.
And they've got access to the CEO right away. So
Exactly.
all right, so let's wrap this up, Sami. I think it's been pretty interesting. Right, so who's on the founding team, and how many folks do you have on your team as of today?
So I have now I have 8 people on my team, and the founding team is that so I have 2 AI professors, university professors.
And
Uh, uh,
are
who,
they
who's
are they in the role of advisors, or are they sort of working with you actively?
no, they are working with me actively. So they work with me works with me 3 days a week, and the second 4 days a week.
Sure.
And it's passion. It's more than it's more than a job. It's
Yeah,
a passion. So
got it.
the intention is that to transform the way we sell. So we have kind of very high, at least objectives and goals that we want to achieve.
Got it. And have you raised any external funding so far?
So I'm in negotiation now. The only thing is, I really would like to validate the ROI, the growth, etc. So I have funding. I have self funding for a year, another year, but I'm negotiating because now I think the big question is that what will you get from an investor, and what will you give in terms of freedom and vision, etc. And the question is that time is precious. Is there a need to accelerate right away to occupy the market and grow quickly or not? So that's I think these are the debate. But I'm trying to get the right VC or the right investor in general with the right mindset. And it should happen in the next 2 to 3 months.
Awesome. That's great, Sami. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Hope you scale Value Orbit to much greater heights.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting. Much appreciated.